Got the roller here for a piece of industrial equipment. Inside the end of this tube here, this is a bearing typically, only it's gone to a point where the bearings failed. Oh, I got the wrong side down, 2 ticks. The bearings failed, and where it's not been treated quickly enough, it's got too much wiggle in it. So now what I'm going to do is use this pipe as a sizing guide on here. Now I like to use black tape or cable ties when I'm marking around a pipe, because then I know I've got it straight. If they overlap perfectly without any like bumps or anything, you know you've done it. So what I'm going to do now is trim that to size, then bore out the center hole just here so that it takes a bearing. So yeah, about to start cutting and stuff now, but before I do, really important to remember, if you can't repair it or replace it, you've got to look after it properly. That really counts for your health too, especially if you're in a job like this. You know, if you're doing anything so physical, or you're using any kind of tools, anything that could injure yourself, be careful. You've got a duty to yourself as well as everyone else, you know. Don't be the guy that plays a hero and doesn't wear the glasses and tries to look cool and all that, because it catches up if you're lucky. So yeah, get all my safety stuff on. I'm not going to be able to hear very much for a bit. Grab my grinder. Old trusty Makita. Not a very big disc. What I tend to do when I'm trying to cut a pipe is I keep it mobile and I rotate. You want to score a line all the way around it. You don't want to just chonk at it. Take your time. I'm using that tape line. Now it's not perfect. I always overcut just a little bit so that I can get any trimming that I need to do. Well, I can't see how to do this now. But there she is. So I'll smooth that off, and then we're going to tackle the inner bore. Now the next step you see is getting this to sit in here. And at the moment, it's just too big. So this is the process if you're interested at all. I'm going to take my digital caliper, turn it on and make sure it's on 0. And then I'm going to measure this. Now, these tools are only calibrated to measure right at the tips. So occasionally you'll see people like measuring things halfway up, like up here and stuff. You'll get all sorts of measurements. It's only at the tip that it matters. Now, I'm going to say, for the sake of an argument, that's 28 mil. Now, I don't want to be going back and forth of that all day and night, so I'll do that. Let's get a gauge of how much we need to go back in here, back to 0. Make sure she's zeroed, and then using the top of it, come out. Oh, we got that 27-ish. All right, cool. So I need to take out just under 1 millimeter of the total circumference of the inner diameter. So I'll use my good old-fashioned grabby, throwy boy. Another one to be sure to wear eye protection for, and ear protection for that matter. I don't want to go too far, of course. Otherwise I'm going to end up in the same sort of position as I was earlier on. Not quite there, but not far. Now this is the old bearing. I'm using this one as a size reference so I can get a bit mean with it. But typically you don't want to hit a bearing. Just little by little. It might feel frustrating at times that you're taking longer than you want it. But take an extra 2 seconds now to make sure you do it right. It's going to save you hours of buggering about later. There you go. Yeah. So now that we've got the bearing seated, I'm going to make sure it drives home. And that's a wrap. Yeah, okay. So it turns out it was not a wrap at all. I could only get it to get in a little bit. So yeah, back to the trusty calipers, and lo and behold, it's too small. All that chatter about taking that extra time now to save yourself messing about later. Nearly caught myself out. The other side of that tube has to fit a bearing that's already in place on the machine at present. I can't get that off, so I trimmed up some plate. As you can see here, put an edge on it, marked out a cutaway for the bearing to sit through. Later turned out to not be wide enough. Ground away the zinc off this, tacked it in place. I'm not a great welder. Yeah, strong. I can do pretty if I have to, but no, this is just a gasless MIG. Cost about 80 quid. Over a decade ago as well. It's done pretty well. Clark, I think. I don't know. But here we go anyway. Laying a little bit on, just making sure it stops in place before I want a big bead up it. So that piece I'm welding on now is to give me something big and flat that I can better, basically. I don't want to hold that thin plate and try and hit that with a hammer. I've not got a lot of swinging room in there, and well, yeah, I've got to make myself easier job of it by putting something wider on. So that's what I'm doing here. The old weld corrector, my favourite tool. Well done, numbnuts. It's red hot. It's actually glowing. What was I thinking? Good thing those gloves aren't 50% rubber. That would have stung. And now I have a bearing splitter, pointed, and I'll slide this behind the bearing, and then I can hit across the top of here with my hammer to free it off before fitting the new one. And here it is in operation.